Happy New Year 2014, Planet Earth, all time zones. We are continuing with the Batman NES game. Last week we took on Stage 1, Gotham City, and Stage 2, the Axis Chemical Factory. This video, we take on the Underground Conduit. So in this video you see me, or Batman, get a little bit better at the stages, and finally prevailing at the end over the boss coming up. The manual description of the Underground Conduit is as follows. Even though Batman, all capitals, successfully destroyed the chemical factory, he is caught in a trap and dropped into an underground conduit. Underground Conduits 1 and 2 are a network of sewers connecting all of Gotham City. Here, Batman must find the secret exit to the underground cavern. The water flowing through the conduits generates power for the underground station in the cavern. When Batman finds the exit, he must defeat the Electrocutioner, who is waiting to advance to Stage 4. So I was able to find some of the boss info from this on like DC comic wikis. That Killer Moth character from the last one, I got to read his entire history from the DC universe, and Electrocutioner just the same. So they were paying attention to some of the canonical things, I guess, about Batman with this. Certainly not everything from the movie makes it into this. So that this, of course, was trying to mirror the 80s Batman movie, the Michael Keaton ones. So in this level we have some tricky enemies, specifically these, as I would have called them as a kid, jumpy guys. Their real name from the manual is Jader. The description there is, Joker made this biological weapon to jump on Batman. Jader is the name of those guys. So in Stage 3 we also have the EEV, which shoots like a cannon. So you see Batman take a death and he'll go on from there. So we're still on 3-1. They start you with a random amount of ammo, or I'm not sure what the metric is there with how much ammunition you start with after a death. Seems, I mean, it's not usually the ammo that you died with. Like I started with 60 in this thing. Sometimes you start with weird numbers like 12 or like 8 or 17. And this one happened to be 60. The easiest way for me to take down the Jaders, or I might just start calling them the jumpy guys, because I would have as a kid, is to get them onto the screen, and you've probably seen me do this a couple times, get them onto the screen like this, but don't get them far enough onto the screen that they jump towards me, and then just time the I think it's called spear gun in this game, because we all know Batman loves guns. You get they look like rockets, too. The spear gun to shoot them while they're still off screen. Now here I can see one moving just at the edge of the screen, but he's not far enough on the screen to have a hitbox for me to hit him with the spear gun, so I had to jump. Yeah, this one's the trickiest one. I'm not really able to spam, even though I always know he's there. I'm not able to do that little spammy trick, so I have to try to manipulate his jump and then take him down from that. So we still haven't got past 3-1 yet, but we will here soon. So one more jump. Yeah, the anything that is moving in this game is going to be a damage floor. So we see a lot more of that, of course, later. Any kind of spinning fan. Stage 3-2 here. So we're continuing through the conduit part 2. And so there's the spinning thing right there. And Batman just happened to slip on it. Now here we have to do a blind jump, a series of blind jumps, which I think are really unfair in games like this. Like this jump, I had to make blind. I happen to know that you need to go over to the right as far as you can on that jump. And then there's a jumpy guy waiting for you down at the bottom of that jump. So I find those to be pretty unfair elements. Blind jumps are just tough. And anything in games, and I know I shouldn't be playing old games if I'm going to complain about unfair challenge as a way to artificially extend gameplay time with lots of memorization, but it just, games like this that are so well balanced and the gameplay is so much fun otherwise, it's almost like you get let down when you hit a point like that, where you have to know, you can't visualize what you need to do, and the challenge doesn't come from just execution of something you know that you have to do. But, oh, here's a blind jump I have to make, and I hope I land on a safe floor. This is the trickiest part, and you'll see why with some of these ones coming up. These are going to be the EEVs that we haven't seen. They call them, and I would call them like a dragon tank. That would have been my young kid name for them also. I take a few deaths in this one, mostly just to recharge my health. If I make a few errors, I take a death to start here, because it's nice, even if you game over in this one, you'll still start at 3-3 here. So this ends up being one of the longer stages, maybe the longest, and maybe the final level. No, the final level's not so long. We'll see that coming up. Not in this video, but we'll see that later. But the EEVs, or the dragon tanks, they take a lot of damage. They trace back and forth, and they fire the little flame balls there. Super good players, and I watch them do that. They use the hit stun of enemies. When they get punched or struck with a weapon, they flash briefly, and during that time, much like when you have a character that gets hit, you run into invincibility mode. The enemy's hitbox goes away, so you can't they can't damage you while they're stunned by that. Now you notice I was able to manipulate that dragon tank off the screen. I was able to despawn it by manipulating the edge of the screen, and that's not a trick. It's just something it doesn't take a lot of high-level execution to trigger that glitch to get those guys off the screen. There's one of those mines there. It might be hard to see on that, but you do it. You have to just kind of carefully time a jump here coming up. Take out the mine or get over the mine. Now there's a series of tough jumps right here that took a lot of practice to get, because you have some complicated wall jumping, and that's not going to be the end of the complicated wall jumping in this game, of course. So I'm going to farm for health here by this health droppy guy. So here's the description of the boss of this level while we are farming for health. The Electrocutioner. This boss is a self-electrogenic man, the strongest warrior on Earth, who is capable of transmitting a quote-unquote moon attacker, in parentheses, a 10 mega-gigavolt killer beam out of his arm. So 10 mega-gigavolts. 10 mega-giga. I wonder if that would be tera, or if that would be peta, if they really wanted to go with metric prefixes. Let's see. Mega is millions. Gigabyte is billions. So a million billion. Someone help me out with that. What would be the prefix for a million billion or 10 million billion volts? How many volts would that be, and what would be the a million billion would be the number. Have a lot of zeros. Lots of zeros. Here's the tricky jumping. Not right here, but this right here. You've got to go through the flame of the flamethrower guy, and remember, anything that moves in these is going to be a damage floor. So you can't jump off of those moving things. You'll take damage and fall. As you saw right there, I wasn't able to grab that. So here's where the wall jumping, your first wall jump has to be positioned perfectly to affect you in jumps that are downstream and off screen from where you are. So if you don't position the first jump just right, you might make the first jump, you might make the second jump, but you won't make the third jump if your first jump isn't placed just right. And that's where some of that memorization comes into play. You have to know exactly what level you need to land on. And again, there's another dragon tank that I was able to manipulate off screen. Here is the Electrocutioner, and the only way I know how to fight him is to just this all-out boomerang and hope for the best. All-out boomerang, hope for the best, because he jumps and throws this undodgeable electro beam, and as you see, I took a death right there, and we get game over. So, not so bad. We just go back to the beginning of 3-3, and the Electrocutioner, I seem to need to get to him with full health in order to do that all-out strategy to just throw boomerangs at him as fast as I can. There are some platforms up in his room there. I don't know if you have to get to the wall and wall jump to get up on those platforms, but it seems like that would be kind of, I don't know, a waste of time maybe. I don't know if he can jump up on those platforms and get you too. He's a tough one to fight legitimately, I guess, in a way you would fight most bosses where you kind of get better and learn to take a hit and then get in the safe zone, take a hit, get in the safe zone, or should they give a hit, not take a hit. General boss fighting strategy, right? You hit them, then you avoid their attack, then you hit them, then avoid their attack. This one, the only way I know how to do it is just get up there and throw boomerangs as fast as you can while he jumps back and forth over your head. And firing his, let's see, Moon Attacker, which, if you remember, is a 10 Mega Gigavolt killer beam. 10 Mega Gigavolts. So I've got to maintain my full health on the climb here, and then on that dragon tank up on the top. Maybe I can get one hit on me, but I don't think I can beat him if I've got 2 hits. I was pretty close last. I had 2 hits gone when I got to him, and that was just not enough for me to overcome the 10 Mega Gigavolt beam. Question there with the volts would be, how many amps is that beam? How many amps of electricity are going through that beam? I was once explained by, when I was working as a deckhand by the head maintenance guy about electricity, amps and volts. He just explained to me that volts would be like the temperature of electricity, and amps would be how much of that temperature energy is flowing. So if you think of it like a hose with hot water, the volts are the temperature of the water coming out the hose, and the amps are the pressure of the water coming out the hose. So that's why a 110 volt power socket can kill a person, and then those 10,000 volt tasers usually don't. More next week.